You do the math.
The fact of the matter is that to do nothing is actually to be sat in the cab of the bulldozer running over Rachel Corrie. Rachel Corrie was a Western citizen on a Western passport. The idea that these people would not dream of doing this kind of thing to anything except sand niggers, nonsense. They will happily murder members of the press from the West. They will happily murder Western citizens. They've murdered blacks from Africa. They've murdered Chinese. They've murdered Europeans. They are not prejudiced in their Gentiles. A Gentile's a Gentile, and the only good one is a dead one. It is a Judeo-Nazi mindset that has to be stopped.
Yeah.
And that doing nothing, listening to the mainstream media when the internet is there, you can walk into your local library anywhere in the UK, and half an hour of serious looking, you'll find I Am the Witness or similar kinds of sites. You'll see all the alternative views of 9/11. You'll see the independent film footage of what's going on in Gaza right now. It's available to everybody and anybody. You seek and ye shall find. That's what Jesus, peace be upon him, and his mother said. Just look, you'll find it. It's there. But there's none so blind, Daryl, as those who will not see. There's none so deaf as those who will not hear. Well, to those people who will not see and will not hear, they are currently firing phosphorus bombs into the Gaza concentration camp, because they're not doing nothing. They're not doing anything to resist. They're not doing anything to stand up. They're not doing anything to be counted. They're not even prepared to educate themselves into the facts.
Well, but see, a lot of people think this plague is going to pass over their door. Well, guess what? It's not. Muhammad, in parallel to this Nazi murder of the Gazans by these Jews, we've got Jewish-inspired implosion happening around our globe. By evidence of this, of course, this lack of delivery of anything. The food shortages are on the horizon. We've got mayhem in the streets. We've got police actions that are going to start happening. Look. This is the real kickoff of a murderous and mayhem period in human history, and how it turns out is up to the people listening right now. And I got some encouraging things to say. One of the encouraging things to say is we do not need a majority to win this. What we need is a dedicated minority to win this. Do you know there were only single numbers of percentage in the Americas that defeated the British in the Revolution? It did not require the full support of society. It required a strong minority to stand up and say, we have had enough, and we will do what it takes to end this. And that's what's needed. And see, that cascading of information that gets everybody off their chairs and out to the streets and saying that this is enough, like the Greeks have done, is a 7 to 10%. 7 to 10 is all we need. 1 in 10 people, and we can stop these people and get them out of our lives permanently. And the other day when I was talking to David Pidcock, him making the statements that he made, there were some things that I wanted desperately to say something about. And you know as well as I do, I live in a place where my front door will be kicked in, and I will be dragged out by the hair, I am sure. They have already prosecuted people in my region, in the capital city of my region, have been put in prison for speaking about the subject that he made a false comment about. Made a false comment in his statement. And I was not able to correct him. The reason I could not correct him, and I got some emails about this, and I'm going to address this. The reason I could not correct these false statements was because for me to do so would have shown me to be a person standing up for the truth, but falling afoul of a ridiculous law that is in existence here in France and very powerfully enforced.
And also in Europe, in generally,
Yeah.
this is also the case here in the UK, and it also limits your ability to travel if you are labelled as such. For that reason, I'm aware that David in the past has made statements very much to the contrary, but he's very conscious of where he can and can't travel if you make those kind of statements. So you have to be very careful, and it's maybe helpful to make statements to the contrary when we know they're not true. It is an important issue, these elements of facts of history, but they're not the most important things. And
well, but you know what, Mohammed, I am a purist here, and I try to set the right example here by not allowing known falsehoods to be passed around on my programming. But there are a couple of things that I can't even address here correctly. Now, one of the things I would like to address that he said was that the Jews had a right to that area. Now, let me address this in my own little way here. Let's take, for example, there are 35 million Chinese Christians. Now, the Chinese Christians are from a race of people that are the same as the rest of the Chinese population, either Cantonese or Mandarin or whatever group of people they come from, but their religious faith is in Christianity. Let's say they decided at the UN that the Chinese Christians have been persecuted in China, which they have, by the way. They've been persecuted there. So in order to save these Christians, we're going to move them to France, and we're going to kick all the French out. And now we're going to give the nation of France to these Chinese Christians to live in. And if anybody in France says anything about it, we're going to give these Chinese Christians the weapons to murder all these Frenchmen on the way out as they're being kicked out. And then if any of them are left, like on the tip of Britannia or on the tip of near Marseille or something, on this little enclave piled up high, we're going to add to that super powerful bomb and give it to these Chinese Christians to kill off the rest of these Frenchmen. Now, there is absolutely zero difference between what I just said and what's been done in Israel, in that criminal Nazi state of Israel. The fact of the matter is, these people have no more claim to that area than a Chinese Christian would have to France.
You know, Daryl, I came across a link on the internet yesterday to a file which had been put up on YouTube. Oh, it must be almost 3 years ago now, beginning of 2006, where somebody put a pastiche together of one of the early audio files where you and I were discussing the 13th tribe.
Yep.
I'd never seen this thing before. It was very interesting, the 13th Tribe by Arthur Koestler. And we discussed, for the benefit of Christians out there, the importance of these people being Ashkenazi.
Yep.
In that, as I stated, somewhere between 80 to 90% of world Jewry are Ashkenazi.
Yep.
Even if we say we're Christians and we believe the Bible is the Word of God, and we believe that God did give the land of modern-day Palestine to the children of Israel historically. Okay, we'll accept that as a historical fact, and that they've got some right as the children of Israel, as Israelites and not Israelis, as Israelites land. Okay, we'll acknowledge that. But what these Christians have to do is still live in the real world. And the real world says that 85% of the Jews in the world are Ashkenazi.
That's right.
This means that they're not descendants of Abraham. As was pointed out in the 13th tribe, they lived in Khazaria.
Yes.
You know, in that